Isn't it great when an anime actually manages to meet your expectations? To be fair, you should never have your expectations set too high to begin with, but regardless, this anime still met those expectations, those aforementioned expectations. The series is titled And You Thought There Was Never a Girl Online, which, quite honestly, is a mouthful, and even its acronym is probably considered too long, but regardless, that's the title of the series, and there's no getting around that. The show we're talking about today is produced by Studio Project Number 9, a studio that I have never heard of, and their only other notable work, according to me, is recently My Sister's Unusual, which, in of itself, is a very unusual anime. The series is licensed by Funimation and ran for 12 episodes, and it's a comedy romance series based around video games and otaku culture, and more or less just video games and an online video gaming club. Much like with most animes out there today, it focuses around a young high school student by the name of Hideki Nishimura, who plays the game Legendary Age as his character Rusien. In the game, he's married to another character named Akko, who, in his mind, he presumes to be a man just due to a bad experience he had had in the game earlier when he basically confessed his love to a female cat character who ended up saying that she was a man online, and it kind of crushed his dreams, and hey, that's no big shock to us. We always just assume that the people we play with online are males, except for when you're playing Call of Duty and they have girl in their gamer tag, and it's just like, come on, don't do that. You're just begging for attention at that point.
I'm begging you, my lady. Marry me. Give me thine hand.
I'm afraid you'll have to count me out.
I swear I am in love with you.
Sorry, but I'm actually a guy in real life. I'm a middle-aged dude! At first I wanted to ogle a sexy avatar, but then I got caught up in crossplaying. I mean, what chick would say meow puns in real life? Not the kind of girl you'd want to date.
Damn it! Damn it! I swear I will never trust another girl I meet on the net again! For as long as I live!
Regardless, turns out this Akko Tamaki that he is married to in the game, just for shits and giggles pretty much as he puts it, is actually a female. Not only that, his two buddies he had never meet when they decided to meet online, IRL, offline, not online, are actually women too. really nailing home the title there with the question mark at the end of it and all that. It turns out, hey, they're all females, and he's actually the only male in the group, which came as a big surprise not only to him, but honestly to me as well. Although it's funny how it's a massive coincidence that all three of these friends he's now finally meeting in real life are actually all students at his high school, which kind of make things a little awkward sometimes. And then when Akko discovers who he is and what class he's in, she just starts clinging to him out of nowhere, and he's surprisingly embarrassed about it. It's like, what do you have to be embarrassed about? Oh yeah, a cute girl is now showing up to your classroom and just infatuated with you in front of everybody. Yep, that's super embarrassing, man. Come on, pull your head out of your ass, Rusien. Jeez. Anyways, the series kind of disappoints in a few aspects. You keep thinking that the series is going to go full-on Chunibyo, and it just never does. It starts, much like Chunibyo, to bring up the idea that maybe you should have fantasy separate from reality, and Rusien takes it upon himself to sort of start getting Akko to see reality more and put that more in the forefront, coming to school and stuff. Maybe them actually becoming a couple in real life and her not always just assuming they're married just because they're married in the game, which is honestly, something you feel like she would have gotten over. They never actually do that, and they never explain away that. Instead, she kind of just sits there and is like, oh, my dear Rusien, my husband, and he tries to fight back against that attitude and that thought, but he eventually gives up on it, and that's kind of very disappointing. Hell, the anime actually concludes with the main victory in the final episode. Minor spoiler here. They end up winning over one of the members of their party, overusing purchased items that she acquired through money. So basically, not only on top of its message of maybe you should separate fantasy from reality gets kind of squandered at the end, but also, you know, earning a victory, that message kind of gets squandered and stepped on by the end, which is kind of hilarious. But, you know, it's all for the sake of comedy, which is the big thing about this series. It's comedic. You know, it may lack in a large amount of intellectual prowess. It may not be the best looking series out there, though in terms of animation quality, it certainly isn't bad. Project Number 9 definitely brought their A game, at least, you know, for as much as they can to this series, but it's still an endearing one, and it's a funny one, and I had a lot of fun with it. On top of that, Funimation's dub for it's pretty good as well, just saying. The music isn't particularly all that interesting. The opening and ending songs either. Normally I can at least remember those. I don't. The biggest thing I actually remember from this series on an audio standpoint stems from something that actually has nothing to do with the anime whatsoever, and it's not an achievement of this. If you didn't know, the rights to this anime is actually owned by Universal overall. Universal Studios. Universal Pictures, I mean. You know Universal. They're the guys who made, like, the classic monster films. Anyways, their logo with the big bombastic instrumental and stuff and the planet turning, it actually starts at the beginning of every episode of this series, at least if you're watching it on Funimation now. And ironically, from an audio-visual standpoint, that's the thing that I remember the most from the anime. But that doesn't mean that the anime wasn't good. It's definitely not spectacular, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I can't blame you if you enjoyed this series too. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this review up. So basically, good visuals overall, nothing amazing. Music, kind of just forgettable across the board. The characters are fun and likable, ultimately. The anime's overall plot's interesting and fun and kind of draws you in, but at the same time, it doesn't really execute some of its established plot points very well, like the idea of separating fantasy from reality. Regardless, though, it's a nice, fun little romance series, and it's a nice little comedy as well, and that's the best I can say for it. I give And You Thought There Is Never a Girl Online a solid 7 out of 10. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought about this anime if you've seen it, and I will see you guys on the next Quest for Anime.